Thank you for watching this short video. It's a heart reflection. You may find it challenging and you may totally dismiss it and me in the process. But I've always come from my heart. And I was extremely privileged to watch a program on BBC Two last night and the week before called Coming Out by Stephen Fry. And I must confess, I found the whole program extremely challenging as a child of God. Challenging for my brothers and sisters who are gay and lesbian. Challenging because religion has let them down. It would appear that religion has become obsessed with sex. Now, I'm in the world, but I'm not of it because I'm enclosed as a Franciscan monk. But when I was a young nursing monk in a Catholic order, trust me, I seen things that I wasn't meant to see. And on one occasion, an older monk tried to rape me. And at that time, I was only 22. I was totally distraught. I sought help and it was dismissed. I was told to keep quiet, which I did, but it had a knock-on effect in my life later on. But what I want to share with you is I take my hat off to this man, Stephen Fry. It doesn't matter whether he believes in God or not. But what he did, stepping out in faith, stepping out and challenging in love, several of the world leaders or those responsible for policy. What I found really challenging was the Russian interview, where he spoke with the head of policy to do with sexuality, a man who's trained to be an Orthodox priest. And some of his reasoning was totally off the wall. I found it extremely uncomfortable because he was sitting in judgment. And as a Christian, that is something we are not guided to do. Judgment is not ours to make. Judgment is for God alone. But Stephen, in my opinion, held his composure really well. He could have slapped him on the face, which I would have done, forgive me for being so honest. But he handled the whole interview really well, but I could tell he was horrified because the Russian Orthodox Church with the government are totally dismissive of gay people. They're in fear, and the homophobia that exists is unhealthy. What is it about homophobia? How do you challenge it? Well, I challenge it in love. I've got members of my family who are homosexual, and I would never dream of castigating them, ever. But when I watch the program and I listen to some lovely young men and women share their story, how they have to live in fear, that fear is not good for the mind, for the body, or for the spirit. But then we came across a story, a true story, in Brazil, where a mother's son, who was not even 16, because he obviously had some effeminate tendencies, a group of thugs attacked him, beat him up senselessly, and then hung him up, strangled him in his own t-shirt. And then there was no law condemning what they did, whereas today there is. And then Stephen went to Africa, and that was just, all I can say is, there go I but for the grace of God, where the gay community live in fear. And the culprits are the evangelical Christians, brothers and sisters who say they love God, but they sit in judgment on the children of God. Whether we're gay or straight, Whether we're able-bodied or disabled-bodied, whether we're black or white, judgment is not ours to make. But I take heart from the new Pope, Pope Francis. He's been a long time in coming into the Catholic Church because the Church has become obsessed with sex, literally obsessed. It's unhealthy. There's an imbalance. And whilst they're forgetting, they're judging homosexuals, but a lot of its own clergy are gay or closeted gays, because I know, I've seen them, I've supported many in counselling over the years, and yet they turn around and they say one thing but live out a different truth. There has been no transparency until Pope Francis came, and when he was questioned about homosexuality, his reply moved me to tears, because he said, "Who am I to judge another? If their conscience is clear before God, then that's good enough for me." And I would take that statement and say to all Christians, Muslims, Jews, and other faith communities, that is the line of approach we should adopt. We shouldn't become judge and jury. We should pray for one another. We should support brothers and sisters who are being met with injustice, intolerance. I weep tears when I hear some of the stories, and I'm particularly challenged now to support Stephen Fry and say, well done, Stephen. Well done. I am behind you 110%. Because what he did took 2 years to come together. And I commend him. I commend him. Whilst I don't condone what goes on, I'm not here to say no, 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 no. Homosexuality is an evil. It's self-inflicted. It's not self-inflicted. But can I just say this? Your sexuality is God's gift of himself to you. You're born that way. You don't acquire homosexual tendencies. It's in your genes. It's in your genetic makeup. And whether it is or it isn't, you and I were not created by God to sit in judgment and condemn a brother or sister. So many young people today are being attacked. Some are being killed because of their gayness. Why? Why do we take it on ourselves to inflict this? Shouldn't we be offering a compassionate heart? Through tolerance, love, support. And this business of trying to invite gay people to go for a therapy to turn them from gay into straight, it's immoral. It doesn't work. It screws the individual up, and I know that because I've befriended clients about 15 years ago whose lives were destroyed through this therapy. So let us come into our heart and let us ask ourselves, what would happen if you discovered that your son or daughter came home to you and said, "Mom and Dad, I'm scared to tell you, but I'm gay"? Would you do what many people do and ostracize them from your family? Or would you not embrace them in love? Because it's bad enough having to tell you, but it's also hard enough to live with the label of being gay and embracing homophobia each day of your life. Homophobia is evil. It is not of God. God does not condemn gay people. And if God, Jesus, does not condemn, then why should you or I condemn? As children of God, we have a duty of care to ourselves and to others. And the second commandment is to love the Lord your God, number one, but your neighbour as yourself. So it hits it on the head. And if, like Jesus and the Samaritan woman, he didn't throw her into the well and say, serves you right for being a dirty old slapper, forgive me. No, he embraced her. He embraced her in love. But that's not what's happening with religion, is it? People are being stoned to death. People are being beaten up and killed because they dare to be different. Their sexuality is God's gift of himself to them. And you might say, go and wash your mouth out. No, I won't, because I've spent too many years keeping my truth to myself, and after watching that program, I was in utter praise of Stephen Fry, challenging civil leaders and one evangelical minister who nurtured fear, hatred for the children of God who are gay. I think we should look into our own life and see, am I without sin? And if we are, then throw a stone. But let he who is without sin, Jesus said, let him throw the first stone and stone this woman. They each dropped their stone and walked away, and that's what you and I are guided to do. If we say we love God, and we behave in such an appalling way, then I would say this to you from my heart. You are giving lip service to God, and your heart is closed. Because if your heart was open, you would not condemn any child of God, regardless of their colour, regardless of their creed, and regardless of their gender orientation. You would embrace them. And if you suspected any form of homophobia, you would immediately address it, face it, and heal it. And if you are homophobic, then bring that to God and ask God to take that guilt from you and to give you a loving, forgiving heart. And if you want to watch the program, you will get it on iTunes, on iPlayer, BBC iPlayer. And it was BBC Two, and it's Stephen Fry coming out. I want to read something to you from the Dalai Lama. It's about kindness brings about peace. With kindness, with love and compassion, with this feeling that is the essence of brotherhood and sisterhood, one will have inner peace. Yes, I am an enclosed Franciscan Catholic monk who embraces all faiths. That was the message from Francis of Assisi in 2008, to come out of my comfort zone and embrace different faiths. But he didn't say only embrace the straights. No, embrace all the children of God. The alcoholic, the drug addict, the wife beater, the paedophile, the gay, the straight, the transgendered. He didn't stipulate which. I took it for granted it was to embrace all. When I was a devout, religious Catholic, I was so judgmental. But it wasn't until I had a full mental breakdown, an adverse side effect to Prozac, 16 years ago, I suddenly realized what it was like to be stigmatized by my own nursing profession. I was treated like a leper, an outcast, no help, no support, and for 4 years it was the help of my friends who were not nurses who actually helped me bind my wounds. Yes, I was shattered. Yes, I was annoyed and angry that the profession I'd given my life to for 38 years could be so condemning. and ostracize me as if I was a leper. So in my heart there's a lot of empathy for anyone who's stigmatized. But I would never dream of alienating a brother or sister of mine because of who they are. I would ask them to help me support them. I may not be good at that, but I give you my word I could never sit in judgment on anyone, regardless of how camp they may be or how butch they may appear. That's their choice. And if their conscience is clear with God, then, like Pope Francis said, who am I to judge? Who am I? So if you are homophobic, please bring that to God in prayer. Ask to be relieved of that great sin, because it's the sin of judgment, it's the sin of pride, it's the sin of arrogance. And also you're only giving lip service to God. However devout you may appear, whether you're a religious leader, a priest, a nun, a monk, an imam, a rabbi. If you are judging God's children in this way, then your heart is closed to the love of God, and you're loaded with clericalism. You're full of the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law has been killed off. And you know, if you are a Christian, how Jesus handled those selling in his Father's house. He kicked ass in the temple and he cleared it. And that's the Jesus I've given my life to. And that's the Jesus I love. I'm not asking you to love him. I'm asking you as a child of God, whether you believe or not, to think again about casting a judgment or any aspersions of evil onto young men and women who are gay. Please, treat them as your equal, love them as your brother or sister, and try if you can to see God in them. That's all I ask. And I thank God for what Stephen Fry did. What a great man. What a good man to do what he did. So I pray for Stephen that he will continue to fight this good fight and raise awareness with governments and with various religions and institutions to cease being homophobic. It's irrational behavior and it's not of God. Condemn me if you will, but my conscience is clear, is yours. I wanted to share with you the Franciscan blessing. You've probably switched off by now and gone. Fine. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he let his face be shown to you and be merciful to you. May he turn his countenance to you and give you peace. May the Lord bless you and free your heart of all judgment, and that you see within every child of God the face of God, and that you leave judgment and casting aspersions on the children of God to God. God bless you, and thank you for listening to our rambling old monk. But remember, what we put out into the universe is a negative. It comes back to hit us on the face. What we put out into the universe is an act of kindness. It comes back to us as a powerful blessing. God bless you.